You are now watching on Ola Grace Channel.
You must understand that Jezebel in the last days is not a person, but a system. A system that goes for where the oil sits. A system that goes after where the oil sits. You must protect the oil. It is leaking. Don't let it drip away. You must fight for the sustenance of the oil. The devil is after it. When David stood on his rooftop and he saw a woman that was naked, that was him responding to a bounty on his head. I was reading with awe when David was writing his final words. He said, "These be the words of David, the man raised by God, the sweet psalmist of Israel." He was the man upon whom the hand of God had rested. When Samuel called him in the midst of his brethren, where did he pour the oil? On his head. And he saw the woman that was bathing naked. And he said, "Call her for me." Long story short, they anointed the sweet psalmist of Israel, the man after God's heart, fell. If there's something I can ask you to do in a moment, is to place your hands on your head and pray. This is where the oil sits. It will not go wrong. This is where the oil sits. I will not miss it. I refuse to trade it. I refuse to trade it. You know what Esau said? Esau said to Jacob, when Jacob said, "I will give you food, but I want your birthright." Esau said, "Give me food. I'm dying. What is this birthright to me?" The Bible said, this he said, despising the birthright. You know the birthright? The birthright was the right to come under the Abrahamic blessing. But are you aware that the birthright is also the right to bet? The right to bet significance. For each spoon he was taking, Elijah walked out of his lineage. Elisha walked out of his lineage. David walked out of his lineage. Moses walked out of his lineage. Judah walked out of his lineage. All the people that will matter, that will read about, were walking out of his lineage. The significance of the Abrahamic blessing was that God was tracing out the lineage for the Messiah. And when he took the last spoon, even Jesus walked out of the lineage. Because he did not know that the urge of a moment, if you fail to satisfy it, you won't die. You won't die. You won't die. We must be prepared for the level of darkness coming. The end time church must rise as a combatant church that we are. We must not let the fire go out upon the altar. We must wield this mantle with a sense of awareness that there is a grand stand in heaven of just men that could not be made perfect without us. Moses is standing, Elijah is standing, Elisha is standing, Paul is standing, Peter is standing, Philip is standing, and they are saying, "We died for this." And they are setting their gaze on the end time church and waiting for us as we run our race with patience. And this is our vow. We will not buckle. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We will prepare. We will pray. We will fast. We will study in between the lines to prepare ourselves to be relevant for what God is doing. We will embrace both the pain and the rigor of this mantle. We will not buckle. The end time church must know that we are to contend earnestly. There are those who have been killed, those who were sown asunder. I read the story of some men that were captured. I think about 5 of them. And they were going to kill them for the sake of the gospel. It was in a very cold region. And they placed them in a very cold ice pond. And they said, all you have to do is to deny Jesus. All you have to do is to deny him. And then you come out. This is fire here. Once you come out, come and warm yourself. And they watch each other freeze to death. They had fire. They could warm themselves. But they chose to stay. And when one of them saw the first person die, the second person die, the third person die, he ran out. He ran out and went to the fire. But one of the soldiers that was there, they did not know that his eyes was already opened. And he was seeing that as they were dying, a crown was being placed on their head. A crown was being placed on their head. They were about to place the crown on the fifth one when they ran out. He off his clothes and jumped into the pond and said, Jesus, I accept you. And he died. And he died. The end time church cannot shy away from persecution. We've been told darkness will cover the earth and gross darkness the people. We are the last hope. We are. And many times it doesn't make human sense to me. It doesn't make human sense. Why will God trust us this much to put us at the last? Why? When you are running a relay race, the best in your team is to be at the last. We are running a race that people like Father Nash have been placed ahead of us. He was known as the prayer man. He died praying. Have you read about people like Smith Wigglesworth? How he raised many from the dead and would slam the body against the wall. He was a man of real faith. Have you read about men like Apostle Babalola? Men, the Bible says that who through faith subdued kingdoms, did many miracles that could not be numbered. Have you read about people like Archbishop Benson in Daosa? You wonder the caliber of men we have read about. How do you put these ones first? If there's a generation that should be the last, it should be them. It should be them. Look at what God has done through them. I watched a mixed relay race. Nigeria in a sport program. Mixed, that is male and female. We put our males first. And we're running far ahead of everyone. And we put the lady as the last. The last guy to hand over the baton was far ahead. And despite that, he gave it to the lady. But other men, it was just a matter of time for them to catch up. Because they were stronger. They were stronger. They were men. And so we lost. We came last. God is not a bad coach to repeat that. If God will put us at the last, it is either we are more than what we are without knowing, or there's another plan. But I think it is the both. The end time Christian doesn't know the power behind him. The end time believer is yet to find out that he's not alone. The end time Christian doesn't know that the convergence of the jealousy of God is guiding his investment unto him that is able to keep you from falling and present you spotless before the Father. The end time Christian doesn't know that he's not alone. He doesn't know that there is the power of God that is genuinely at work in his life. And when you look at yourself as the least, God said in that state, I am taking you up. I am preparing a man for myself. Gideon said, hey, he was sifting wheat to hide from the Amalekites under an oak tree. And God came, angel of God came and called him, you are a mighty man of valor. I dare to tell someone who is still struggling that you are a mighty man. I dare to tell someone who is still trying to believe, is it true that I'm anointed? Can God ever use a man like me? That you are a mighty man. I dare to tell someone who is pastoring 3 and is thinking God is not calling him, that you are a mighty man. That is what God calls you. Now, this is what happens when we have had generations run ahead of us. And we are the last. In Joel 2, let me show you what the Bible says. Joel chapter number 2. Look at it. These are scriptures you will read sometimes with utmost disbelief. It says, blow ye the trumpet from verse 1 and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand, a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of cloud and thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. Look at it. A great people and a strong. There has not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it. And this a generation was described that there's never been any like them before. And the Bible is also saying there will not be any like them after. You know why? Not because God has stopped manufacturing men. Because that generation is the generation of the summation of all things. I believe that we are the generation to usher in the coming of Jesus. I believe. And we have work. Because the most crucial time in the harvest is when you are harvesting. That's when the devil wants to come and destroy. Huh? That's the most crucial time. Now, listen to this. Why is this generation so crucial and powerful? It is because for each generation that goes ahead, when a man passes, the mantle doesn't leave. It queues behind the next. When the one goes, the mantle doesn't leave. Queues behind the next. So we have so many mantles that have been queuing up for us. It's just like the last born in the house that receives the fine clothes of all the siblings, the shoes, all the fine things. Sometimes even their room. There about 4 of them were sharing a room. The last born is the only one remaining. They've all gone to get married. But it is also a responsibility. We have standing behind us the mantle of Hagin. We have standing behind us the mantle of Idahosa. We have standing behind us the mantle of Ayo Babalola. We have standing behind us the mantle of Father Nash. We have standing behind us the mantle of Charles G. Finney. We have standing behind us the mantle of Kuhlman. We have behind us the mantle of Woodward Ita. Unto whom much is given, much is expected. We must wake up. And like I told you when I was started, God has sent me to, through this teaching, prepare the next generation for what is coming. And I thank God for giving this mission, this vision to Pastor Isaac. So that there can be many voices. Because when the harvest is plenty, you need hands. When the harvest is plenty, you can't do it alone. You need to recognize the people that God has sent with you in the field of the harvest. The mission is the same. The method may be different. But I perceive strongly that this is a clarion call. I didn't hear amen to that. It is a sound of awakening. It is the sound of an alarm on the holy mountain that the inhabitants of the Lord will hear. It is a sound. As I tie this up, we wrap up with that same Isaiah 60. Isaiah 60. So when the Bible is saying, arise, shine, for your light is come, for the glory of the Lord is risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and gross darkness for people. But, there's a but. I said there's a but. To everything the devil is doing with intensity, God has a response. But,